Welcome to Getting Real. I am your host, Monick Halm, and I am so excited to have a very special guest with me, Bogdan Rosu, who is a mindset and business coach. He's a public speaker, published author, former martial arts teacher, joining me from Romania. And he is known for creating the world's first personal development through martial arts program, which has helped thousands build confidence and success. He now uses his signature warrior shaman mindset system to help entrepreneurs and business owners. And as real estate investors, we are entrepreneurs and business owners, and he helps us scale businesses on autopilot, achieving impact, freedom, and fulfillment. Through his system, he has generated over $10 million for his clients and counting. And I am super excited to have him with us. Welcome, Bogdan.
Hi, and thanks so much for having me. Um, I always love all your goddess references, and I love that book behind you, right? And if I look at it closely, right?
This one?
Yeah, yeah, there we go, right? I love your goddess theme across the board. So I'm very honored to be in the presence of a goddess, and let us bring our godhoods together in that of the audience. Mm.
Yeah, love that. And so I had all these questions, but you brought up something. So we're going to just have a conversation because one of the things that I really loved about you, and we met recently, you'd reached out, and um, just how it's your way of beingness and really tapping into that kind of source energy of who we are. It really attracted me in tapping into that for how you know how we can achieve success by really tapping into this source, the stream of life, and just being
Right.
really in allowing. Um, I'd love to I'd love to get dive into that, but before we do, let's get let's have you share your background. Just what, because it's really unique. How did you
Mhm.
go from being in martial arts to this mindset business coach? Just share a little bit about where you come from and what how you got to doing what you're doing right now.
Well, I think like a lot of us, like entrepreneurs, we feel we don't belong in this world in many ways. I was just speaking to a client who helps empaths find their way and use their empathy as their biggest gift, as their superpower. And I realized that that was kind of my story in many ways. You feel like you feel different in the world. And I guess I thought through martial arts that I would be strong. I would be cool. I wanted to be cool like Bruce Lee, like all of these action movies. No, actually I wanted to be like my cousin. Yeah, that was part of it because he was a black belt in karate, and my mother wouldn't shut up about how amazing my cousin is. And you know so I just wanted to be just like him. That's kind of basically the main driver why that was kind of in the back of my head. If I'm going to be like him, I'm going to be cool. And then it was like other figures. But in time, I realized there was a lot more there. I realized that looking cool, wanting to look cool is the best way to not look cool at all. I had plenty of that as well. Um, and later, I fell in love with personal development because this friend got me into a multi-level marketing business, and I was like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna be rich! This is gonna be great!" Right? Made no money with the MLM business, but starting reading personal development books. So I realized I had two passions: the martial arts and the personal development, and they were actually going together very, very, very well. What the martial arts was lacking, the personal development philosophies could complement, and vice versa. So I created that program, helped a lot of people. But then I realized that what I really, really loved doing was having deep, meaningful conversations like the one that we're having. I fell in love with coaching and realized I was kind of using the martial arts as an excuse to coach people, because even before the martial arts, even more so kind of a beginner in the martial arts, my friends always came to me with like very deep emotional stuff. And I always loved having these conversations. It's like somebody asks you, how long have you been a coach? The answer is it's your whole life.
Yeah. You said something really intriguing. You said that the martial arts had something that the personal development was lacking and vice versa. So what is
Mhm.
that?
Well, to give an example, I felt very confident, very much in control when I was teaching. But then outside of the school, I was extremely insecure. My dating life was like in shambles. I always felt small when I wasn't teaching. Mm. And that's where the personal development came in terms of understanding, okay, you are good enough, in terms of understanding your confidence, your worth. I think a lot of the work that we're doing, the inner work, is work of selling ourselves on our worth, on us being enough. Mm.
Mm.
But what I think was the most valuable thing I got from the martial arts was the yin and yang approach, because like the martial arts style I was teaching, the Wing Chun, is always very much yin and yang. It kind of drilled into my body, because you're giving with, you're offering like hitting with one hand, but you're absorbing with the other one. So it's always this cycle, this spiral of energy. And I very much use that in my coaching, because similar to martial arts versus personal development, most of the people that I work with have tried multiple different programs. They didn't really bring out the best version of them out to play. And for the simple reason that usually you get very good business strategies, but if you don't have the mindset to use it to match those business strategies, you don't really implement what you get. So it doesn't make much of a difference. Vice versa, you get the mindset, but then you're still left wondering, okay, how to actually create, how do I market, how do I sell my services? So in order to see like a real tangible difference in where you are to where you want to be, you need both, but they need to work together well, like a nice song. I don't know if that answered the question, or maybe I went a bit overboard with it.
No, that makes sense. And having it, been a while, but I did do a lot of martial arts when I was younger, and I studied some Wing Chun
Oh, you
um,
did?
yeah, when I was in university, and I did
Interesting.
taekwondo, and but there it's like having, especially with the, it's not about being stronger, but about the use of the force and the flow, um, and just the movement of energies and how
I
you.
mean, I mean, strength matters. You have somebody who's like,
Sure.
you have somebody bigger, he just picks you up and runs with you. It matters, right? There's a reason why there's weight class categories, but just to give yourself a bit of a chance, it's useful.
Yeah. Though I was doing, now we're going totally off topic. I was doing this type of this like Russian martial art where it actually wasn't about weight, and I started doing it with my daughter, and she's 14, and we're against these big guys that are 5'3" and they're 6'3", and double my weight, and just being able to work so I could flip them over, or
Hmm.
and using their force, their energy, and just redirecting it. So there are ways of like flowing with
Hmm.
what is, and you don't necessarily have to be the bigger one to have, you just being able to channel. channel that force, channel the energy so that it's you're moving with it, flowing with it,
Mm.
uh,
Mm.
as opposed to like when you try to block it. Yes, you're definitely going to lose as the smaller person. When
Yeah.
you use it, against them, you can take their energy to flip them over. So it's really cool how that works. But when we talk about your particular what is it, the warrior shaman mindset system,
Right.
how does that work? How does that differ from other coaching methods?
Yeah, actually, it's a three-step system. The first is the shaman. The shaman turns shit into gold, turns all of the reasons why you can't into why you will.
Mm.
It releases the limitations, the limiting beliefs, because information is free. We will have access to infinite information. The reason why we're not using it is because of the worthiness aspect. Then the warrior elevates confidence. The warrior
Before you go
real
on to
Yeah.
that, give an example so that
Sure.
I have one in mind.
um I used this, actually. It was a sales call when I did this. She was on the fence of working together, and I sensed there was this entity that wanted to kind of come through. So we actually summoned the spirit of her father who had passed away.
Mm,
And before we did that, I told her, look, you're not scared that we're going to work together and this is not going to work. You're scared that we're going to work together and it will. And you're more afraid of succeeding than failing, right? And then we summoned her father. And her father pointed out to a moment in their lives when he was dying. And her dad said, just don't be greedy.
mm,
She had already started her business, right? And when that came through, she immediately started crying and releasing that. That was the belief that she was fighting. I want some success, but don't want too much success. And that was
right.
exactly her life, right? So that's an example. And the thing is, you don't know because they're blind spots, right? That's what they're called, blind spots.
Mm,
You don't know what it is. You know something's there, but you can't really put your finger on it.
yeah.
Mm.
I've heard the statement. It's like no matter how quickly you turn your head, you can't see your own ears. Right? Like you need a mirror
Oh,
sometimes,
I
right?
love that so much.
Who can show you what you cannot see, right? They're
Some
there.
people are like,
but-
why do I need to see my ears? They're fine exactly where they are.
No. So, all right. So, what was the next level? So, you said there's the shaman, and then,
The warrior. True warriors fight for freedom. The warrior elevates your confidence so that you can live in a state of freedom. With a higher level of confidence, you can create bigger clients. You can charge what you're worth, double your prices, and clients will come through. You will open up bigger opportunities for you, right? And the third component is the business owner mindset. That's where we get into personalized business strategies that fit you. Mm. But the key component to the business owner is thinking like a successful business owner. And that means stepping back, looking at things objectively, and not just in your business, right? It's kind of like detaching yourself from the painting, starting to be the painter, the artist, not just the character inside of the painting. And that's a tremendously powerful skill, especially when you notice yourself being carried away with the old negative emotions that you don't prefer, that that are costing you money, right? Like fear, anxiety. Oh my God, what's going to happen with my investments if the market crashes or blah, blah, blah. And you just follow those emotions, whatever they take you. Whereas when you master this energy, the energy of the business owner, the observer, you can detach from it and say, hey, is this serving me right now? If yes, great. Let's do it. Let's go. Right? If it's not, okay, how can I redefine this? Or how can I adjust, make small adjustments to this that will later turn into big differences, big results? This applies to your business, to your emotional state, to your relationships, right? Imagine like being in a heated argument and then having the skill of stepping back and saying, hey, is this relevant?
Yeah.
Mm. So yeah, that's my system in a nutshell. Mm.
Love that. Yeah, those are definitely things that I have to do that I work with my goddesses on because yes, it's like what are the blocks? What are the limiting beliefs that we can't even see? We don't even know are there, right? Then you get to then how do you overcome that fear, get to that confidence level where you can take action and then continue for like big level, you're creating this masterpiece, but um staying in this like creator space as opposed to in the getting back into that fear, getting back into the
Yeah.
like old patterns. So yeah, it's so important because as Bob Proctor it said, success is 5% strategy, 95% psychology. Right?
Yep.
So much is what happens between your ears will determine
That
what.
was that was the old way. Now it's like 95% being source, being a goddess.
Yeah. So speaking to that, because this is this is kind of where we started, but I love like how does that this story or example of how that manifests? Like how do you go into really connecting with this your divine nature, your force
You're
energy?
you're doing it already in many different ways. It's just it's just a matter of doing it for most of the time, right? So maybe some people in your audience are coaches. I'm sure you know this feeling like when you are serving someone, you're coaching someone, or you're, um bringing out the goddess in them, you cannot do it without being a goddess yourself,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So you know what that is, how that feels. It's a state of flowing, just like you mentioned, and this universal wisdom is just channeling through you, and you get to take a back seat and relax and say, hey, I trust this. This is fun. This is exciting. This is great. I don't need to stress, right? Everything is beautiful right now. The trick is, because of the stories that we have, okay, if I don't stress, things are not going to move forward. If I don't worry,
Yeah.
everything's going to go to shit. Whereas we're invited in many ways to release these old ways of thinking and understand that it's actually the opposite, right? Of, okay, who is the most confident, most radiant self that I have access to right now? Can I be her the whole day?
Yeah.
Especially when I'm tempted to not be.
Yeah. Love that. And then you also you mentioned something. You mentioned fun, right?
Mm.
Getting, and that's something that we talked about in a previous conversation. I'm actually in the middle of a 50 days of fun challenge where I'm like really focused on every day doing something fun, a little silly, little, just like elevating my level of funness in the world.
Yeah.
And that was something you mentioned the other day that you were tapping into fun and how it was opening things up for you. So talk about a little bit about that, the power of fun in achieving success.
Well, is it really success if it's not fun?
Good point.
Can you hear me? really call it that?
Well, it depends on how people define success, right? So some people might define it as dollar signs, right? Then they can have lots of dollars and not be having fun. I I I have, in addition to, my program, we help women create $1 million of net worth growth and $100,000 of revenue within 2 years or less, guaranteed, which is great. But
Hmm.
we're tracking the joy and pleasure in their lives. So we have a joy and pleasure assessment, and if that's
Hmm.
not going up, that is
Yeah.
failure for me, right? So if
Yeah.
you're not feeling more joy and pleasure in your life, it doesn't matter what your bank balance is.
Hmm.
So I totally agree that it's not success if it doesn't feel good.
I've been hearing this in so many different forms. It's like we're chasing. It's kind of like somebody said, "I'm looking for God. I'm looking for God." Well, that's the problem. You're looking for God. How can you look for something that's already there? You're saying it's not there, right? It's the same thing. Like, I'm looking for happiness. I'm looking for the goal. Like, it's not that we want the money, we want the goals, the recognition. We want to feel good enough. We want to feel loved. We want to feel appreciated. We want to have fun. Guess what? All of that is not outside of you. It's the more you put it outside of you, when I get the thing, I'll feel in a certain way. The more the universe is like, okay, they haven't learned anything yet,
Yeah.
right? They're not behaving as if they are the source of everything that they want, all of these feelings. So if you're not being source, it's like there's a fine distinction, because people will say, hey, but people, there's a lot of people who are unethical, they don't care, they still make a lot of money. Yes. But there's a difference between you, and I'm assuming like the listeners of your show are in this aspect, right? When you are connected to a deeper truth versus not being connected, versus creating from an ego, right? Creating from your ego, there's a huge difference. Like, being someone who's more surface level, yes, you will be able to create from the egoic perspective. Doesn't mean you're going to be very necessarily happy or satisfied, right? You might get the material stuff and then realize, okay, it wasn't really the thing that I wanted, and kind of reset. That's where you get the people getting ayahuasca experiences and then, restarting their lives from zero, because they realize their ego went there, and you can't imagine how much suffering they go through, right, after getting the things and realizing they still don't feel enough, they're still not complete. But you having a deeper contact with the universe, and you feel like there's a ceiling above you, you're creating from a deeper space, because the universe loves you, because source loves you. It doesn't want you to go through all of that heavy, extremely difficult suffering. So it's like, okay, we're going to wait until you realize that you are the source, that what you're chasing is happiness, is fun. So until you realize that you can have happiness and fun right now, regardless of what's going to happen, we're not going to accelerate things for you, because you're just going to be more miserable if we do.
Yeah. So true. Like money, alcohol, and power, they don't change who you are, just amplify wherever you are right now. So having more money when you're miserable just will make you more miserable, and having more money when you're already having fun, and it'll just allow you to have more
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, yeah. And I think, especially for your community, prioritizing fun and happiness and freedom will massively accelerate their results. It's like when the same in dating, I mentioned my dating life. That was exactly the shift. When you stop needing something to feel good about yourself,
Yeah.
that's when it comes.
Yeah. True. Then it magnetizes right to you
Yeah.
when you're in that feeling place. So good. So good. All right. I wanted to ask you about some advice. All right. Okay.
Hmm.
What's the best life advice you've ever received?
That I'm more than this physical body. It wasn't exactly an advice, but yeah, I feel like that opened the door to me a lot. Like we're not just this flesh and bone vessel we identify with. We're bigger in many different ways. Yeah.
Mm, great. And what's the best business advice you've ever gotten?
Fall in love with sales, but don't be salesy.
Yeah. So how does that look like?
I mean, sales before was using a script, asking the right questions, taking notes, using the script. Now, like, I treat everyone as if they're already my client. I give them an experience with me.
Mm,
And if they vibe with it, they're gonna be like, hey, I want more. Or hey, I say, would you like more? Sure. If yes, yes, great. If no, no, no problemo.
yeah. I hear you. I had a similar shift, and it was for me though, it was really knowing it was not about me, but about them, and just every conversation. It's like, how can I serve? How can I
Yeah.
serve you to reach your goals? And if it's through what I offer, then yes, we're in alignment. If not, like, where can I send you where you will reach your goals? So it's just like loving being able to have that service. I think. So great. And what is the worst advice you could give someone?
Worst advice. I think what it's less of an advice, it's more like a definition. Like every time I put my power in somebody else's hands in terms of working with, a coach, joining a program, okay, this is gonna fix me. I don't know where that came from, but like if I get this thing, then I'm gonna be fixed. That's kind of the worst, let's say, mindset, not necessarily an advice, right? Or yeah, if we're to, yeah, put your power in somebody else's hands. Like start thinking that somebody's gonna fix you. That's the worst advice I can give
Yeah,
you.
hire that person so they'll fix you.
Yeah, yeah, like the
Yeah,
mechanic.
yeah. That's truly terrible advice. So good. Thank you.
Yeah, happy to serve.
Yeah. I've taken that advice from myself. I mean, I've given myself that. And I
Mm,
have it took some work to unpack, to stop
yeah,
believing that somebody else I would hire would fix me and help me be enough, right? It's just that's it's something a lot of people have, and it's so freeing when you can not do that. All right. Before we get into our Trinity, which is our brag, gratitude, and a desire, how, or what is the best way that people can connect with you to find out more and find out about what you do, Bogdan?
I mean, LinkedIn, my YouTube channels, I have two. I used to do it in one channel, like combine the spirituality and the business, and now I kind of separated because of like YouTube algorithm stuff like that. So I have one where I talk more in terms of lead sales, marketing, team dev, so on and so forth, and the other one we get deep into the spiritual stuff. So yeah,
So, what
these
is
three.
it? Google your name and they can find you? Is that
Right. So
where do we people go?
I'll I don't know. Can we put some links in below the description? But if you want to Google it, maybe just start with Manifest with the Warrior Shaman. That's the spiritual one, and the other one is the Business Shaman on YouTube and LinkedIn. just search for my name. Yeah.
Great. All right. Perfect. And okay, so now it's time for the Trinity.
Mhm.
What is one thing you are celebrating right now? What is your brag?
My brag. I finally got my wife pregnant.
Yay! Congratulations. Oh, brag.
Yeah, we've been working on that for some time, but yeah.
Yeah, amazing. Wonderful. And what is one thing you are grateful for?
My wife being pregnant. I'm not allowed to say anything else, by the way.
Okay, I won't. And lastly, what is one desire?
Hmm. Yeah, I think for myself, it's just keeping this. I've been having so much fun prioritizing exactly what you said, my happiness, my joy, like all of the things that would stress me out. There's just not, just keeping this as my top priority, just having fun and feeling happy for no reason.
Hmm.
That's it.
Well, so shall your desire be, or so much better than you can imagine.
Mm.
So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining me today. That was such a great conversation. It went so deep, and I love it. Um, and I love the reminders about the importance of fun and that we are this divine energy. We have everything we need right now within us. So thank you for being here. You can find Bogdan again. Look him up on LinkedIn or on YouTube. Warrior Shaman Mindset and the Business Shaman, and and join us next time for another great episode. And so thank you for getting real with us today. Let's get real and stay real. Bye.